let me first congratulate you on your admission to the doctoral program at Georgia State University.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Nikita, why don't we begin by telling about your little bit about yourself and the journey which you have had till now.
Sure. I pursued my undergrad from Delhi University, Hindu College. I pursued BA Economics Honors, and post that I went to Madras School of Economics for my post-graduation for Masters Econ. Post that, I worked in different departments, majorly as research associate. I've worked in the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India as a research associate. I've also worked with the National Statistical Office as a consultant in their social stats division. Presently, I'm with a financial inclusion consulting called Microsave Consulting. I'm based out of Delhi, and I work with their Government and Social Impact Division. I'm part of this vertical called Public Finance Management, where we look into the PFM systems of central and state governments. We work across geographies of Asia and Africa, majorly in the space of social welfare programs, development initiatives, policy initiatives, and we help the government strategize these programs, mostly with an end goal to benefit the last mile beneficiary. So yeah, this is mostly about the organization, and all through this while, of course, my training has been in economics, though my work experience has been very diverse across government departments and consulting firms. Yeah, I did endeavor into preparation for civil services for about 3.5 years. I could not succeed, and I went back to the workforce, and I took up development consulting. So yeah, this was about my background, and I started preparation for this admit back in 2020 April. I joined Jamboree for GRE classes, and I took up GRE I took up the GRE twice. I took up once in November 2020. I could not get the best score for quant, and hence I ended up taking up again in November 2021. And yeah, I got an optimum score of a decent score of 116 quant and 151 in verbal, with a 4.5 in my writing skill. So that was about my journey for at least about the GRE program. Of course, the preparation also involves writing SOPs and seeking LORs, etc. So GRE was a very strenuous and difficult phase initially. And I must say, of course, Jamboree really helped, and at least the faculty was very supportive. I would specifically accredit Lakshmi sir. He's been a constant rock and a brilliant guiding force in preparing me for quant. And I express an immense amount of gratitude and respect for Lakshmi sir, because I remember times when I was really faltering and underconfident about my quant scores, and he was the one who was very encouraging about it. So a big shout out to Lakshmi sir. And otherwise also other faculty members of Jamboree have been very supportive. I can't remember all the names, but I remember Charu ma'am, and I think Harpreet ma'am for verbal, and otherwise also the admin staff has been very supportive. So that way GRE was taken care of. I spent a lot of time writing the SOP. I think that's a very important part of the application. So that took me about 2-3 months, including repeated reviews. And I had to customize it according to various universities. And sometimes universities would have different sort of questions and demands to be fulfilled in the writing style. So one has to take care of that. The next major chunk is LOR, the letters of recommendation, and I seek them from my professors and superiors at work. So it takes some time to approach the professors and seek time with them and convince them to give you a letter of recommendation. But once that's through, those letters are very, very instrumental. They're very helpful. So that's been one major help. So these are the three major pillars. Rest are, of course, a lot of administrative stuff in the application, which one gets through when they're there, fetching transcripts and letters and your certificates, etc. So I think those are easier tasks, and those sort of involve a lot of coordination and patience with the respective stakeholders. So that's sort of taken care of. Yeah, I think I should stop here. That's a brief about myself and the journey with the admit.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Two questions. One is you joined in April 2020, which I think was the advent of pandemic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's exactly when the pandemic hit all of us. And so that, and the fact that you retook the GRE and you managed to improve the score. So would you like to get to how you prepared, or how was your experience in preparing during the pandemic, when it was completely new and we didn't know what to do, all of us? And
Sure.
B is, what do you do to improve your score?
Sure. So of course, that was a difficult time. I started in March, April, yes, 2020, and it was a complete lockdown. And these classes were all online, so there was no classroom teaching, and access seemed a little distant to teachers and other peers, etc. So it was difficult to kick off, because of course I'm also used to a lot of classroom teaching. I've taken multiple coachings in life as yet, and I'm used to huge classrooms and interacting with teachers and peers in person, and solving doubts and questionnaires together, studying together. So that was a little tricky to get onto the online classes pattern. But of course, I must say that the classes were very seamless and fluid and interesting as well, specifically quant. So these were very sort of, activity driven, or I must say very interactive. So the instructor would of course teach us for some part of, I think the classes used to be 2 hour duration, I've forgotten. So half the time the teacher would of course teach us and solve questions together, and the other half, he or she would give us an assignment, and we would be given our time to solve and then get to discuss it. So of course it's not happening in person, and it's happening while we're in different spaces, but it used to give us the same kind of probably the environment that students need. Of course, it was a little tricky to, of course, get in touch with teachers and your peers, etc. But of course, one understood that they need an extra push to get through these difficult times. So at that point in time, Lakshmi sir and Charu ma'am, these guys were very, very supportive. So I didn't face much of an issue. So this was about the challenging part, but of course, every situation has its pros and cons. So the advantage of this situation was that we had ample time to study. So we did not have to go to office. So if I had to go to office I stay in West Delhi and this office is in Green Park. So if I had to manage this preparation with this kind of commute that I undertake now, I would not have been able to grind myself for 4-5 hours a day that I used to put. So I remember being able to sort of manage work and studies fluidly. Yeah, so I'm saying, of course, the pro of the lockdown was that I was able to manage these studies with the commute very well. And I remember giving in like 4-5 hours a day, maximum on working days, because of course of limited interaction from the outside world, or the not spending time to commute or going outside. So that was the pro of the situation, and I prepared for about 4-5 months before, April I started preparing. Around November I took the exam. So yes, that was about the preparation. And I think your second question was about improving scores, right? So initially it was very difficult. I did not really understand what's going wrong, and how really, because my mocks repeatedly gave me the same pattern of mistakes and hence the same scores. But what happens is that we, in general, as humans and as students specifically, have some core habits that we leverage for our studying patterns, for our practice session patterns, and for taking an exam. We have some core habits which we find difficult to change. So the key is to probably break those habits. So I remember, of course, my one of my lacunas was time management. I wasn't able to utilize my time properly in that half an hour of the quant section to complete those 30, 25, 30 odd questions. And that's where Lakshmi sir really helped me and guided me well on how to allocate those minutes, those seconds and minutes on each question, and where to probably call it off, like decide not to go further for the question. So I think this comes from personal experiences, and this is all on hit and trial. So once an aspirant gets to preparation and gets to taking these exams, they realize what's their strength and weakness, and according to that, they sort of have to work on their, of course they have to sort of garnish their strengths more, and push themselves through the weakness to a point where they can improve further. So that's very sort of aspirant specific. But if I come down to myself, and I got an improvement of about 4 marks in my quant, and that was the major improvement. And it took me a few months to in fact get through that. So my tests were giving me the same scores. So one trick that I followed was that in my quant exam, I had a logbook. My logbook had details of all questions that I go wrong with in my tests. So I used to note down each and every question I get wrong, and the reason why I'm getting it wrong, is it because fundamentally I do not know the concept, or is it because I know the concept and I rush through because of paucity of time or anxiety, or it's some other calculation mistake. So 3-4 kinds of mistakes, and I would understand, analyze the pattern and note them down. And I did the process repeatedly for a couple of months, and that logbook really helped me to analyze my mistakes. I would go through the logbook every morning before getting down to the preparation of before reading the course material or attempting the next test paper. I would go through my mistakes and concepts, because as I said, we need to break those patterns of bad habits, wrong habits, which are sort of leading to low scores or not the optimum scores. So that was the major strategy for quant. Beyond the point, I did not try to increase my verbal scores a lot, because I understood due to paucity of time, I can only focus on one area, and for me quant was most important. So I understood I really cannot probably increase it beyond a 150. And then that's exactly what I got the next time as well. My writing section was also sorted. I did not score anything beyond a 4.5, even though 5 could have been, of course, great as well. I did try. But then again, I could not escalate it beyond a 4.5. I would repeatedly get that. And I realized that, in that short duration of time, that's a skill that I can't, embellish more. So it was majorly quant that I had to push through. And this was the major practical trick of the logbook. And of course, repeatedly taking mocks from different sources, noting down mistakes and analyzing them, and trying, of course, not to repeat those. This was the major strategy for improving scores.
Yeah, the error log is a very important part of the entire test taking process, and we're very happy to hear that not only maintain that, but you were also going through that before you started revision or taking new tests. I think it's just not maintaining about it; it's also about going through it and be conscious about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that became my Gita for for the last few days. I repeatedly went on reading it. mostly reading it, because of course one gets exhausted with reading the same course material and concepts. So so the logbook really helped.
Fantastic, fantastic. Mm, so one last question I would like to ask you, Nikita, what would be your advice for students like you who are looking for writing the GRE or for applying for doctoral programs?
I think my first and foremost advice would be, start early. I think in general, in my process, I was a little late to start with the preparation, the preparation of GRE, or streamlining the list of colleges I'm getting through, I'm going to apply, and then the SOP. So in my first attempt, in fact, I must also mention that I took 2 attempts for the entire application process. So in 2020, I applied to 12 universities, and I got through 2 of them, but without any funding. So this one of them was NC State, the other was University of South Florida. So there was absolutely no funding given, and I was in a fix. I spoke to a lot of people, and everybody advised me not to even consider it and try it again. That was one bummer, and I realized that, of course, apart from a low GRE score or otherwise, the application, the SOP being slightly weak, one pitfall was that I started a little late, and I could I was probably just in time for my application. I would apply a day before the deadline, which is not the right way. So I improved on all of that in my second attempt, meaning the applications for 2022, which I was writing in 2021. So therein I applied to just 4 colleges with a streamlined approach, with a more patient and probably a more consolidated and comprehensive approach. And I was probably in time for everything. So yes, in short, my first advice would be start early, please. So that really gives you what I would say, an early moves, early movers advantage, a first mover advantage to understand the process, because understanding the process itself is a task. For GRE, of course, Jamboree is the best guide. uh, I don't think I should say more on it. The faculty is superb. Specifically, I would again compliment Lakshmi sir. I can't thank him enough. So I'm repeatedly going about calling out his name, but he's by far the best math teacher I've ever met, an extremely kind human being. So. Absolutely get in touch with sir and get your doubts cleared and everything. Regarding, of course, the SOP the SOP is a very personal document, and my advice to anybody and everybody writing would be that give it your personal shot, give it your own shot. I mean, give it. It should be your story. So a lot of at times what a lot of people do is they seek SOPs from a lot of their friends and their colleagues, and they try patching it together with, of course, a little bit of formatting. I'm not sure if I don't think if that's the right strategy. So I would always say go about writing it, giving it your first cut, and then of course getting it reviewed from as many people as you can, and that really helps. So in fact, I approached a lot of unknown graduate students from universities I was interested in, and I shot emails, and I sent them my SOP, and a couple of them did reply with specific comments on my SOP. So that's something I'd advise to aspirants, that reach out to as many people from the LinkedIn and Facebook community, a lot of grad students, and send them across your SOPs and other application documents. They're really helpful. Apart from that, I understand it's a challenging, it's a daunting process. So patience is extremely important. So one needs to be patient and perseverant with the process, not to give up on failures like scoring low in GRE. One can improve till a point. One can improve, I still believe. But I'd always, having said that, I'd still say, if one doesn't improve after 2 to 3 attempts, I would say switch your gear to improving your SOP, to writing better, to probably working on different projects, to bettering yourself at other skills in office or in college, improving your application in general, and see if you can shine there. Uh, because I do believe beyond a point one gets exhausted studying for the exam, and you can't really, there is very minimum chances of improvement beyond say 3 attempts. So it's better to focus on other areas as well. And that's about it. I think being patient and positive is one of the major mottos that I would convey to all further to all aspirants. And yeah, I think I should stop here. I'm being way too verbose. Um, that's really about it. And there of course there are the world was an oyster of opportunities, and one or two rejections does not mean a rejection in general or rejection in life. You can keep trying to a lot of other places, a lot of universities with different approaches, of course. As I said, we have some innate habits which help us, which in fact deter us for performing our best. So it's pertinent that we identify those, improve on those, and um, perhaps then apply or try with a renewed focus. So yes, I'll stop there. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. It's lovely talking to you, and those are very mature and sane advices, I think, and that anybody who's attempting a GRE or looking for a study abroad in one of the universities and trying to apply, they can utilize it, whether they're looking for a doctoral course or a graduate course or an undergraduate course. I think those advice which you have given is
Absolutely.
applicable in across board.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you so much, and best of luck for your doctoral studies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been such a pleasure. And let me know if I can help you or Jamboree students and future aspirants further. I'm happy to help.
We have an active alumni group, so I'm sure you will get a part of that and help future aspirants like you.
Wonderful. Happy to do that.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Have a great day, and thank you so much.
And thank you.
Bye.